Welcome to Doris's Golf Club. This is my final podcast from Wales. I am walking back one final time along the beach from the final round, day four of the AIG Women's Open, and Miyu Yamashita, or Yamashita, as I've heard that her last name is pronounced, just won at, I believe, 11 under. It was quite a day. Miyu is adorable. I think she's 4'11". She is cute as can be, and she had just an amazing entire tournament. Her final day today was also really amazing and so fantastic. Congratulations to Miyu. Yesterday was her birthday, as you all heard. I saw that beautiful three-layer cake being presented to her. I hope she enjoyed that. And when they were presenting the trophy to her today, they mentioned she just turned 24 years old. And what a birthday gift to win the AIG Women's Open. Of all the majors to win, this is such an impressive one. And so 11 under, and Charlie Hall, who was right there, up there, right at her heels, at Mayu's heels a lot of the day. She ended up tied for second place, I think, at 9 under. And then Rio, who I was really hoping could pull it out, had tied at fourth. And well, I think she was 7 under. And then Megan Kane, she tied for sixth place at, I think, 6 under. So, congratulations to Megan to come out of this tournament with all of the challenges with the wind, not as much rain as I was expecting. Although, again, talking to locals, many of them informed me it doesn't rain here all the time. I thought that was very funny. I told every single one of them that I had been, I had been preparing for rain basically full time, and I had packed my clothes for being prepared for rain. It hardly rained. And anyway, I was glad I was prepared for that. I was not, I just wasn't prepared for the amount of sun. I don't think I told you all this. I had to buy sunscreen at the little grocery store there. I think the first afternoon when I got back, luckily there was sunscreen. They had nice sunscreen stations at the tournament. And so I slathered up as soon as I got there. I really just thought, of course, I know you can get burned with overcast skies, but I really thought it would be actually raining. And so I thought I would have kind of my raincoat on, my hat, and it would be much more covered up the entire time. Anyway, so people informed me that it doesn't rain here all the time. And so locals were not as surprised by the amount of sun that uh, that we had over the 4 days. But the wind just was going every which way around the course, as you all know, as I've talked about. And so really impressive with the scores that everyone was able to achieve, especially with Mia's final score of 11. Congratulations to Mia. Oh, she was so cute at the trophy presentation. Today, she was wearing a bright yellow sweater. She's sponsored by New Balance. And I tell you, the kind of cursive writing, the font that they have on her sweaters. Yesterday, she was wearing kind of a cream colored New Balance sweater, and the font on the front. They make New Balance look really cool. I don't think of New Balance as being one of the more cool brands, quite honestly. But the sweaters that they had for her, I really liked. And so yesterday it was kind of a cream colored sweater, and today it was a really bright yellow sweater with kind of a nice font, New Balance, written across the front. And so she really stood out, which of course was fantastic. As the leader, you could see her very well, and that was important. But when she was standing there between her interpreter and the woman presenting the trophy to her, she was just so tiny. She was so little, so cute. But she was so gracious, accepting the trophy and thanking everyone. And The crowds were, again, fantastic today. Really great. And of course, a lot of people were following Charlie, of course, rooting for her. The crowds stayed for me. And so, even for the trophy presentation, um, not people didn't totally clear out. And I was really impressed by that. I thought that was, again, very good. The crowd was really appreciative of really good golf. So, great crowds. Everything went so smoothly throughout the tournament. I've talked about how excellent the crowds have been, how knowledgeable, the golf carts being so quiet and lovely. The marshals have been so helpful and kind. I've chatted with so many of them at different spots. This has been really strange for me, but a lot of them have asked where I'm from, which is common as an American. But what's uncommon is many people, many marshals, and then also, I'll tell you more in just a second. I went kind of into town this morning. Just there's kind of one little main street. It's really quaint and cute. So I went into some shops. And so several people have asked me where my accent is from. And I've had several compliments on my accent, which is hilarious to me. I don't think, oh, well, I probably everyone thinks that they don't have an accent or they can't hear their own accent. I don't feel like I have one. And so it surprised me every time. And, I've told people, of course, when they ask where I'm from, I'll say Wisconsin. But then when people have asked specifically or said something, oh, I have a lovely accent. I'm like, really? Like, what are you talking about? And the one person I was saying, well, born and raised in Texas, but I'm now in Wisconsin. Oh, yes. But then the person who thought, oh, yes, that makes total sense, they said, oh, yes, I hear the South and the Northeast. And I thought, okay, well, that doesn't make sense. But anyway, I kind of thought that was funny and odd, but I've never heard that ever before, and especially several times from many different people. I've always kind of, I don't know, hoped that I had just, I don't want to say bland, but this kind of nondescript accent. Oh, she's a sweet little bunny going into the brambly bushes on the left right here. Oh, sorry, got distracted there. There's just so much fantastic wildlife. But I absolutely love, I don't know, I'll call it the lilt. I think of it more maybe with the Irish accent, but I don't know if it's just the Brits, the Scots, the Welsh. I don't know if it's English, if it's all of the people over here. But the kind of lilt, yeah, da-da-da-da, it's it's really pleasant to my ear. And I was thinking, really, I haven't been doing a very good job of my accents. I know, as I've been trying to tell you all things. I don't know what accent has been coming across, but it's certainly not English or British or Welsh. Or, I don't know what it is, but I'm wondering if I should try to speak with kind of that. You know how the Americans for a long time did the transatlantic kind of accent? I don't know, was that the 20s, 40s? A lot of the actors would do that. Maybe I should bring that back. All right. As usual, I'm off track. Okay, I think I was talking about everyone being so wonderful. So I got there even later today. Each day I have been intending to go even earlier. And of course, I have gone later each day. Part of the reason, of course, is that I went into a little downtown Fort Call and had such a lovely stroll. Went into several shops. So cute. Touristy, but also not. They have some good local shops, but then also some wonderful touristy shops added with several people. Oh, I went into this chocolate shop. Oh my goodness. I'll have to take a picture. I don't even know how long I spent in there just because I couldn't pick my selection of chocolates. It took me a very long time, way too long, but I'm really excited to take those home. So I was there even later, and I wanted to try to see the eighth green, the green at the eighth hole. For some reason, I thought I had not seen it. And if you do look on the map, it's this like little tiny, I think it's a par 3, because I don't think you ever have less than par three. It's a really short hole, and the green is basically surrounded by bunkers. And so I thought, well, I want to see several groups come through that. And I got there. I first had to get an iced coffee and this wonderful Rocky Road brownie. And then on the big screen there, by that wonderful little coffee and cake stand, they were showing the broadcast. It must have been the RNA coverage because Andrew Cotter from the Chipping Forecast was commentating again. And if you don't know much about Andrew Cotter, he is an animal lover. Uh, he loves all animals, but also dogs. He has two dogs, Mabel and Olive, and you should look up his hilarious videos of during COVID, him having some work calls, Zoom calls with Olive and Mabel. Oh, they are funny. So he was discussing on the coverage. I heard him talking about one of the dogs who was watching some of the play, and I think had been watching and wagging his tail for a very long time. Oh, just delightful. So after I got my Rocky Road brownie and my iced coffee, I went over to the eighth green. It was quite a hike over there. When I got there, I realized I had already been there. And by the time I got there, most of the groups had come through and tons of people were there. I couldn't get a very good view. So I watched, I think I saw, oh, I don't know. I saw a fairly late group coming through. And then I decided to head back in toward the middle part of the course. And I watched some play. Oh, I headed back over toward 11 and 12. And at the green of 12, you can then see tee off at 13. So I watched Rio come through there and Megan Kang. And then I headed back around and I was going to set up at the fairway of 18. And yesterday, I'm sorry, um, basically at the green of 18. Yesterday, I had found kind of a back way, and the marshal I was talking with had said that today they would be putting up a rope where a bunch of us were standing yesterday so that we could all be there and kind of sitting and standing and watching everyone come through today. I thought, oh, that's perfect. Again, I'll have my little picnic. I'll just set up here and watch everyone come through. It was a great view, basically opposite of the grandstands and quite a ways out, but you just have a really nice view, unobstructed. It's actually very close to where the fairway of one would be. So I headed over there.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Doris's Golf Club. I am back in the United States, and we left off with me being in the middle of my final walk and talk with you all along the beach there in Wales. And I am now coming back to you from my studio here in the US. And I got back safely. Things were fairly smooth, although I did miss my flight, my connection in Amsterdam because of all kinds of issues. But I got back the same day I was planning to, and now I'm just trying to get back into the groove of being back in the States, doing my normal full-time job. And so this kind of final thoughts on the AIG Women's Open and look ahead to Hanwha Lifeplus International Crown is coming a little bit later this week. But I wanted to just kind of go through a few of the final thoughts from the tournament and then look ahead a little bit. And so I think just to make sure that I'm covering everything, and sorry if this is not completely a smooth transition, but I did just want to say again, congratulations to Miyu Yamashita. I have not had confirmation exactly about how she prefers to have her name pronounced. The LPGA's media website, where they do have the actual audio guides, the pronunciation guides for the players' names, they do not have Rio or Miyu's names that I could find. I found most every other player that I have looked for I cannot find a recording of either of their names. So I have to think at this point, the fact that certainly that Miyu won a major tournament and that Rio has been in the top of so many tournaments, I would expect to have those pronunciation guides soon. But for now, I'll continue to say Miyu Yamashita and Rio Takeda. But congratulations again to Miyu. She did, as the winner, she won $1.462 million. So congratulations again. That money, again, should help really set her up to do amazing things in her very young career here with the LPGA. Now, I have to say, it is a young career with the LPGA, but both she and Rio Takeda have had amazing careers already with the JLPGA, which is the Japanese Ladies Professional Golf Association. And I think it's interesting if you listen to the different golf podcasts, the Mixed Bag is such a good one. I think I have many times highly recommended it. And they do talk almost exclusively about women's golf and about the LPGA. And I think that that is really an interesting difference, or maybe not an interesting difference, because this is basically the point of why I started this podcast to begin with, because I wasn't able to get a ton of information about the LPGA and about the players in the other podcasts that I like to listen to, which are the Chipping Forecast and then No Laying Up. And so it was really fascinating at the tournament. Both No Laying Up and the Chipping Forecast were highly represented at the AIG Women's Open, because both Ian Carter and Andrew Cotter, who are both co-hosts, two of the three hosts of the Chipping Forecast, they both were involved in commentating. Andrew Cotter was commentating on the TV broadcast, the World Feed with the tournament, and then Ian Carter regularly does commentating on BBC radio and occasionally has done, I guess, women's tournaments, but more often covers men's. And so he was also there and commentating for the AIG Women's Open radio that they had going on live throughout the tournament. So the two of them were a big presence. And then also for No Laying Up, if you listen to that, Cody and Big Randy actually were there at the tournament and were also commentating for part as part of the team for the AIG Women's Open radio. Those two podcasts in general, though, they don't cover the LPGA nearly as much. So listening to those, it was really fascinating to hear discussion about the different players. It was kind of news to them how well the Japanese players have been doing this year, I think, in general, and how well we would expect for them all to be doing. And it was interesting having, again, I keep saying I've only been to 3 tournaments, but that's a lot of tournaments. And especially the majors this year, I've been to 3 majors. I think I've been on the ground certainly more than any of those 3 podcasts that I listened to. I don't think they have had representation on the ground as much as I have been there. Now, I know I'm not press, I know I'm not media, but I've actually been watching the tournaments and, again, fangirling out and getting pictures and doing different things. But I heard one comment on No Laying Up about Tamberlini and some mention of, well, we're not surprised if you don't know who that is. And I thought, well, I'm surprised. I know who that is. Like, I helped another girl get a picture with Tamberlini as I was trying to get my picture with Ina Yoon. So I have all these experiences with these players. And so it feels like to me, like, well, everyone should know who that is. Or certainly the people with these podcasts who have been covering this for a very long time, along with Miyu Yamashita, again, back to Fairway Fates, our first 2 episodes going through the top 20 ranked women. Miyu Yamashita and Rio Takeda were right next to each other. I can't remember if they were 9th and 10th and 11th, something like that. But they, both being rookies here on the LPGA, I mean, already coming in with world rankings of that high, they have been doing both amazing things on the JLPGA. So they are not unknown players, and there are a lot of Japanese players who are coming to the LPGA and who have already had very successful careers on the JLPGA. And so while we may not think of them as, being as experienced just because we haven't been seeing them as much, they definitely have had a lot of experience and are highly, highly competitive players. As we've already seen this year with Mao Saigo winning the Chevron Championship, now with Miyu winning the AIG Women's Open. I mean, that's 2 out of 5 from our Japanese players. So I also had learned, this was back, I think, with coverage of the Evian Championship. It's really interesting with the Japanese players. With the JLPGA, it kind of sounds like a nice setup. Basically, from tournament to tournament, they have their wonderful bullet trains that you can go all over the country, and they're so fast. But they pack up like all of your luggage, all of your clubs. They put them on the train, and then they meet you at the next tournament stop. And so some of those issues, like where Nelly Korda wasn't getting her golf clubs, everything was lost on her Delta flight over to Evian, France. You don't have those issues when you're playing in the JLPGA because it's all contained there on that island, and they're just taking care of everything. They pack your stuff up and just put it on the bullet train and send your clubs and your luggage to your next stop, and everything's there waiting. And it sounds like a pretty nice gig. So I think I don't know if I'm surprised that we haven't seen more players from Japan before now, but I'm curious if we will be seeing more come over to the LPGA. Like, obviously, it's going to be a huge difference just in their schedules and their travel schedules. They're now traveling all over the world, all over the US. Just the tournament schedule is very different, obviously, with the LPGA versus the JLPGA. But it's also, the Japanese players, I've noticed, they do not speak English like a lot of our other Asian players do who have learned English growing up. And so all of their interviews and things are being done through interpreters. And so I think maybe it's more difficult for some American fans to have that close fandom with them. But I think I don't know. I just think that they're going to figure it out. The ones who have come over, they're just, man, I mean, they're doing so well. And those who do decide to come over and be part of the LPGA, I don't know. I can imagine that they will, if they're wanting to continue, to gain fans or followers or whatever it is, if that's their goal, I think that they will, figure out how to be, maybe I don't want to say more approachable, but be able to interact more with their fans. But I tell you what, I mean, I fell in love with Rio Takeda, and that was not through speaking to her. I spoke to her and told her all about, where to wash her hands. But, she didn't need to speak to me. I mean, being just a player who is a really good player and then who is nice and excited to take a picture with a fan and then does that again, and she has a fan for life. And I will tell you also, there were a lot of people waiting for signatures and or autographs and pictures with Rio and Miyu on Saturday when I had left. So Miyu hadn't even won yet, but there was a really nice group of people, English fans, who were waiting to get signature or autographs and pictures. So I think that they are creating their new fan base. And certainly, I think anyone who is following the LPGA at all, like the mixed bag, if you go back and listen to any of those episodes leading up, or really any of their discussions, but certainly right before the AIG Women's Open, they were, I think Matthew, the caddy on there, he was definitely predicting that a Japanese player would win this tournament and talking about how the Japanese players have been doing so well and should not be underestimated. And he was right on. So once again, congratulations to Miyu. And if you are interested at all in any of these players, keep listening to this podcast because I'm going to be talking a lot more about them, especially as we get closer to the Hanwha Lifeplus International Crown, which is going to be such a fun tournament, a worldwide tournament in Korea this year. I'll talk a little bit more about that coming up in just a second, but I did want to just go through a few final things about the AIG Women's Open and kind of the experience being there on the ground and viewing it as a tournament. Comparing it to then Erin Hills, the U.S. Women's Open here in Wisconsin, and then Chevron Championship there in Houston. So now I do have, some comparison, and I want to talk about the bathrooms. The bathroom situation at the Women's Open was spectacular. Kudos to them. I think every other tournament needs to find out exactly what they did and they need to duplicate it. I have never seen like porta potties that flush. I don't know if you all have seen this. I have been to plenty of events in the US, plenty of things with porta potties. I have never in my life seen porta potties. Like they look like the normal porta potties. Everything looked normal. I say normal, looked like something I'm familiar with. And then I went in and they flush. So that alone, I was like, this is pretty special. Like, this is really nice. And several different spots around the course in their main kind of AIG village, and then out around, I think it was like maybe where a bunch of different holes kind of crossed over, like maybe at the 17th, 14th, 15th, there was like another spot where there were more food trucks and they had other bathrooms out there. And so at both of these locations, I mean, clearly these things are temporary bathrooms. They are portable bathrooms. So I don't know exactly how it works, but they did not seem like portable bathrooms or temporary bathrooms. Like you walk into like basically a little building. Maybe it was like a trailer type thing. I don't know. But you walk in, there are actual stalls with stall doors. There are real sinks. Everything, your toilet flushes like normal. There is running water in the sink. Everything seems like a normal, like built-in bathroom. But again, clearly they're temporary. They're portable because these things are not normally on the course where these bathrooms were set up. These were not the premier bathrooms, by the way, people. I bought the normal spectator pass, the cheap one. So these were not whatever special bathrooms that the higher price tickets get you. These were the normal bathrooms. Okay, that's probably enough about that. But really, if anyone ever hears this who is organizing any event or tournament, please look into this. These were so wonderful, and it really does make your experience so much better. Just being out there for, I mean, literally 7, 8 hours, it makes a difference what kind of bathroom you have. Kudos to them. All right, then I did just want to talk a little bit more about the course. I know I kept like describing it, kept trying to explain how the wind, no matter where you were, it kind of was in a different direction. And sometimes you wouldn't have much wind at all. And so you'd get really hot. But I think when I was walking, I don't know, Saturday or Sunday, I realized, okay, my closest experience to this is if you've ever been around any of like the sand dunes around the Great Lakes or any of the dunes around some places in the Northeast. Probably in the Northwest, but I haven't had enough experience there to be able to say, but definitely like the sand dunes around the Great Lakes and some places in the Northeast, you'll know what I'm talking about. There are obviously not any trees, but there are plants. And along this course, there were a lot of really spiny plants. And so when we had crowds and people are trying to kind of move over and like just everyone try to funnel through this path, I mean, oh, some of these plants really were thorny and really would kind of stick you. But these big kind of plants or bushes would be growing in the sand dunes. and you're walking, and again, it's hilly and some of these kind of steep, you know, hills and valleys. And if you're walking along and you get kind of into just one of these dune, the valley of a dune, and there are the plants growing on the dune, you could all of a sudden be in the spot where there's zero wind. There, you can't hear, everything just becomes quiet because there's no wind blowing. You can't hear any of the waves from the sea. You can't hear any of the spectators or really what's going on with the golf around you. And it's just one of those moments where when you're walking down the little path, if you happen to be alone, you could be all alone in the world. It felt like that. And then you just kind of go up the hill and then everything kind of resumes and you get the sound of the wind and the waves and the spectators and you get everything again. But just those little moments are really fun. And like I said, being on a real links course, I mean, that's what it is. It's imagining all of those kinds of locations with the sand dunes and then the water and everything. And then just imagine a golf course kind of nicely laid on top. That's what it was. It was wonderful. And I can't get over some of the views looking out and the farm or whatever it was next door. You could just look over and all those cows and all those sheep. So picturesque. I really, really liked it. Anyway, I wanted to talk about that because it really was kind of that wonderful feeling of being in the sand dunes to me around, one of the Great Lakes. So that was a ton of fun. I also was thinking, okay, as I was walking around and crossing all kinds of fairways, they have fairway crossings, more fairway crossings at this golf course than at Erin Hills. Erin Hills had quite a few fairway crossings, but this course, I mean, I felt like there was a fairway crossing almost every single hole. I know there wasn't, but it seemed like there were fairway crossings all over the place. It is so much fun. It is so much fun to be able to cross a fairway, especially as a live tournament is going on. You're walking across, and like sometimes I would look and like, oh, there's a ball. There's a ball just sitting there. Someone has hit it. They haven't yet come up. We're just all crossing. And then one time we were all crossing and a ball came up. And I mean, clearly they know distance wise when it is safe enough for people to be crossing because they let us do that. But, I thought, well, I mean, if the wind had picked up a different way, it may have been one of those situations where all of a sudden, all of us in the fairway crossing, I don't know, maybe we could have gotten hit. But that was really fun. I really enjoy crossing fairways. And I was trying to think why we had not been allowed to do it at Chevron. That was a big knock on Chevron, and especially looking back on it. The fact that there were, I don't know, I can't remember if it was the back nine, the front nine, but there were lots of holes at the Chevron Championship at that golf course that I did not ever even get to. I did not get to. I didn't see at all. And I saw every single hole on this golf course, most of them many times. You're just tromping all over the place and crisscrossing and it's a fun part of the experience because maybe you're trying to follow someone or maybe you just kind of want to walk around and see the different holes and see who you happen to see. And you can really do that when you have this type of course and when you have these fairway crossings. So I was thinking back to Chevron and thinking about how difficult it was to get around some parts of the course and why so many spectators didn't. Because that was one of the knocks I had heard, some of the coverage was like, there's no one over here at this hole, or this whole side supporting these women. And it's like, yeah, because it's so freaking hard to get over there. I'm curious, in general, if the kind of traditional American course, I don't know, I really want to look into it more. Like, why don't we have, or why didn't Chevron have as many or any fairway crossings? Is it because they don't want people walking across the fairways? Is the grass different? I mean, clearly things are trumped down more with the links course every time, we're all walking across the fairway. But it doesn't seem to matter as much because, where they're letting us cross, it's not like you're walking on the green. So I don't know. I was very curious about that. I have a feeling it is probably something to do with the way that they want to keep certain courses manicured. And it just seems like, from the spectator side of it, it's a disservice. I'll just say that. I think it is so much more fun to be able to really crisscross, walk all around, see every hole. And yeah, I walked a lot, but it was so much fun and so, I mean, confusing to get around, but easy to get around. You can just cross here and there and pretty much, get to any hole you want fairly easily. And it was not that way at all at Chevron. So thought that was interesting. I do want to look into it a little bit more. When I find out more, I will definitely let you know. Oh, let's see. Oh, I think I posted some of these pictures, and I'll definitely post more. But out front of Royal Porthcawl, they have the beautiful gates that say Royal Porthcawl, and then there's this gorgeous building, this kind of large, beautiful building. And I had just assumed, I'd taken pictures of it and thought that it was definitely part of the course. Maybe the clubhouse, maybe, something like that. Gorgeous building. Well, I learned through my chats with various people around town that it had been a convalescence home for years. And one of the women that I chatted with in the little downtown Porthcawl when I was buying some things there in a shop, she informed me that she had actually worked there at that convalescence home until the very end when it had closed 13 years ago. And she had loved it. She had loved it. And all the residents had loved it so much because obviously the location is gorgeous right there by the golf course and right on the sea. Anyway, and so I told her, I said, yes, I had heard that it was not part of the course, but it looks like it is. But my goodness, what a beautiful location. And so it is a gorgeous building, and I think it and then some maybe add-ons they have been renovating and making into private flats. So that's what they are doing with that gorgeous building there. Sounds like they're going to be very pricey, according to people in the know. I was also chatting with the host of my Airbnb. She was telling me we were talking about the weather there in Wales and Porthcawl, and I was asking how it was during the winter. And she said, it's not too bad. She said this last winter they didn't have as much rain as usual, not nearly as big of storms as usual. And so, yeah, it's not bad. She doesn't think it's bad at all. And then a little while later, as we were chatting, she said, well, we did have one storm that blew the side of the roof off of that convalescence home, and it's had to be repaired. And that was just this last winter. So, and I mean, I just burst out laughing because I was like, well, I thought you said the storms weren't bad. And she was like, oh, I know, but that, just that one had blown the roof off of this huge, beautiful old building. I'll have to post pictures because I cannot even imagine this roof blowing off in just a winter storm here in Porthcawl. So, I just love it. The really nice thing, I've been telling you just how wonderful the Welsh people are, how welcoming everyone was, how friendly, how kind. And my last day, the cab driver who was taking me to the airport, he was from India and had moved. And he said that, so he had moved because he had had an arranged marriage and his wife lives in Wales. And so he had moved and he's driving cabs now, but he had been a lorry driver for many years. And he was talking about having driven um, in lots of big cities throughout England and kind of all over. And he was saying that he really felt that Wales and the Welsh people were the most welcoming. And the area he lived just a couple miles down from Porthcawl. And he was talking about how important that is to him to live in a place that where the people are friendly and welcoming and make you feel like family. And he said, again, having been kind of all over England and then Wales, he really just it had been very noticeable to him how wonderful and unique the Welsh people are. And I was sharing with him that I had felt the same way. I mean, really, every single person that I talked to was so welcoming, is the right word. It's not just that they were friendly, but they were so welcoming. They were so glad that I was there visiting, and they were so happy to have me. And like even the first cab driver that I had, when he brought me up and he was making sure I was getting in okay. And then I had the Airbnb hostess was, there and welcoming me. And, he just said, oh, he was talking with her and he said, oh, well, be sure to take care of our girl, And I'm like, I mean, I had like a 45-minute drive with this man. And he was just, he was so sweet. I just felt like I really felt taken care of, and just that everyone, again, so friendly, so kind, so welcoming. I had seen the way that the Airbnb was. I think I told you, like, I had kind of the back kind of suite. And I think it had been like initially probably all a single family dwelling, kind of like a townhouse, and then had been split up into individual flats. And there was an elderly woman living in the one on the first floor. And so I had met her one of the days when I had been going out. And then I saw her later, a couple days later, at the grocery store. Just right around the corner, and I saw her and said hello, and it's so nice to see you. And I mean, just in a few days there, I felt like I fit in so well. That was part of the reason that I really felt like I could just move here. Like, I know there's not a ton of difference, or, you feel very comfortable in England and Scotland and those places. But really, this town, I can't get over it. I felt like I could have moved there tomorrow and they would have welcomed me like a local. It was such a nice feeling there. I also know the one negative thing that my cab driver told me the last day, and this made me really kind of sad. He was saying that, the AIG folks obviously bring in a ton of people organizing the event, a lot of the media, again, a lot of people involved in putting this whole thing on. And he was saying, my cab driver was saying that unfortunately, all of the AIG folks, they had them staying in a different town. They didn't have them staying in Porthcawl. And so, unfortunately, what that meant is that he said, as happy as all the people there were to have the tournament in their town and to be highlighting the wonderful golf course there, and that was all fantastic. But it was just unfortunate, he said, because it really wasn't an infusion of money into Porthcawl itself, because the local restaurants, the local hotels, shops, things like that, they weren't necessarily getting a lot more infusion of traffic or anything like that, because of the huge number of, again, the main people who were putting on the event, the large number of folks there all staying in a different town. So I thought that was kind of sad. It would have been really nice if everyone had been able to stay in Porthcawl, or maybe do more in Porthcawl. But I absolutely loved it. I loved my time there. I'm ready to move. If anyone would like to join me, including my husband, of course, but if anyone else would like to join me in Wales, I highly recommend it. And I can't wait. They were telling me too about basically the whole drive up the coast. If you keep going west up the coast, it's evidently just kind of cute town after cute town and along the sea there. And it's one of the shop owners was saying she and her husband were going to caravan up there. They love their caravans. And they had a trip planned soon, and they were going to be driving up the coast. And then you get up more into the mountains, and evidently there's some really great hiking and just beautiful, beautiful area around the mountains. I've got to get back. I've got to explore Wales much more than I did just with the little town of Porthcawl. But oh, can't wait. It was such a wonderful introduction to Wales, I must say. Leaving, I told you I just had that one little one little snafu with missing my connecting flight in Amsterdam, but it was pretty exciting. I believe, now I have to say this is with a caveat, I believe with me in the airport in Cardiff, and also I think everyone was trying to have the same connection in Amsterdam, and I don't know if anyone else made it. I heard that only one man made the connecting flight, but I don't know. But with me, I believe it was Rose Zhang, who's from the US. I told you I guess it wasn't my last podcast, but it was the podcast when I was kind of introducing the AIG Women's Open and talking about Lottie Wode's first win. So as soon as she became a professional with the LPGA, she won her first tournament. And if you recall, there were only 2 other women who had done that before. And the last one was Rose Zhang a couple years ago. So Rose is amazing. She hasn't had that great of a year this year, I don't think. But I mean, she did really, really well in college. I think she went to Stanford. And so, like, as an amateur, she was winning lots of things and then became professional, won her very first tournament. And so I expect to continue to see wonderful things from Rose. But I believe I saw her in the airport there in Cardiff. And then I believe I saw Haeron Yu from Korea. And Haeron won the Black Desert Championship. Oh, Haeron is spectacular. But I think it was the 2 of them. Now, this is what's really interesting to me. I was waiting at the airport. I had gotten there super early and I was waiting to even check my bags in. No one was even at the desk. So I was waiting. And in walks this woman with a ginormous golf club golf bag. Like, you can tell she's a professional. She has been at the tournament because it is huge. Not just the normal checked bags that you see when people are going on a golf trip and they have their golf bag. No, this is a huge one because professionals have huge golf bags with all their clubs, all the clubs. So hers was this huge bag on wheels. She's pulling it in along with a bunch of other luggage. And so this woman walks in and I'm like, oh, clearly she was in the tournament. But I'm looking at her and she's like in normal clothes, of course, because she's traveling. She's not wearing any kind of baseball cap or visor or anything, of course, because she's not playing in a tournament. Her hair is down. And so looking at this person just in a normal environment, not at a tournament, not, watching on YouTube, a press conference or whatever, all of a sudden I thought, I'm not sure who that is. I thought it might be Rose, but I wasn't sure. And you know me, of course I wanted to say something to her, but then I was thinking through, oh my goodness, what do I say if I'm not sure if I'm not sure who it is? How do you kind of gracefully go about asking, who are you? I mean, come on. So I was trying to think through. I didn't want to say, did you play in the tournament? Because obviously she did. And I wanted to know more before I just started chatting. Did this person do well? Did they not do well? I wanted to know more before I just introduced myself. So we both got up to the checkout line about the same time. I saw that she had a US passport, and then I heard the person asking, where she was going to. And she had said something about being from California, but then now living somewhere else. And so I was like, oh my goodness, I think that is definitely Rose. We get through security. And then I'm also thinking, okay, like, does she want to have someone just talk to her at really early in the morning after an exhausting tournament? And especially if I'm bumbling around, still not quite sure who she is. And I really didn't want to say the wrong name. Like, are you Rose Zhang? And then her be someone else? How embarrassing would that be? So I was debating. I didn't say anything. But then I thought, okay, after I'd had my breakfast and stuff, I thought, I'm going to go and sit down. She's clearly waiting for the same flight. I'm going to sit down, like maybe across from her and just ask, like, I was certain enough that that's who it was, that I was going to do that. So I went over there, and at that time, then some other people had joined her, and it's clearly another player and her family, you know, some family or friends with her. And then I'm looking and I'm like, I think that's Hey Ron Yu. But again, I don't know. I can't tell for sure because, of course, she's in normal clothes. She's not in tournament clothes. She's not wearing a visor, hat. And just seeing someone again, kind of like my experience um, on Saturday of the tournament, seeing Allison Corpus. I mean, it was definitely Allison Corpus, but seeing someone like in the wild, I could not tell for sure. Oh, I was so disappointed because then they were chatting and I wasn't going to interrupt them. But oh, it was just really cool to see them. I mean, seriously, they're celebrities and it's really fun to, like, I don't know, be around them. I'm telling you, when I say I'm a fangirl, I am a fangirl. Okay. Told you about that. Oh, we've talked about Miyu a lot. So I think I was telling you after Lottie Woad had won, and again, now that Miyu won this championship or this tournament, we still, this entire year with the LPGA, we have not had a repeat winner. This is wild, folks. This is wild. I cannot wait to see where we go from here. We don't have another tournament this weekend, but next weekend, I believe, is a tournament in Portland, Oregon. And I think that that's where everyone was connecting. A lot of people were connecting, going to through Minneapolis and connecting, I think, for Seattle. But I'm interested to see what happens in this next tournament. Let's see if we get a repeat winner. I don't know if we will. But the other really, really interesting news, along with not having a repeat winner, we have now, for the first time in I don't know how long, I need to look up, but we now have a different number one ranked woman in the world. So Nelly Korda is no longer our number one player in the world based on the Rolex rankings. She is now number two, and Gino Tidikun replaced her as number one in the world. I want to do a deep dive about how all of these rankings work, but just based on points at various tournaments, that has changed. And so Nelly Korda she's no longer our number one. It's really kind of sad. I mean, congratulations, obviously, to Gino, but kind of sad for Nelly not to be number one. I mean, I haven't been following that long, but even as long as I've just been even listening to some of these other podcasts, the Chipping Forecast, I mean, the very first one, and how I heard about the Chevron Championship to begin with on the Chipping Forecast, Nelly Korda was number one. She was number one in the world. So this has now been quite a long time that she has been number one. And for her now to be number two, it feels kind of jarring. But man, congratulations to Gino. Now that our fifth major is done, she obviously cannot win a major this year, which I think surprised a lot of people. Just expected her to, I don't know, to have won a major. But there's only five. There's only five every year. And I mean, that's even one more than the men have. So it's a really big deal to win a major tournament. Anyway, congratulations to all of our winners this year. That does then conclude our five major tournaments for the year. The next thing that I'm really looking forward to is the Hanwha Lifeplus International Crown being held in Korea this year. I know I've talked about it a little bit. I'm definitely going to be doing a much deeper dive as we get closer because I'm going to have to go through all the players with you all. We're going to have to learn a lot more about how it works. I know that it's obviously a team event, but I want to know exactly what each day holds, how it works. Oh, so Hanwha. The big deal with the end of the AIG Women's Open, well, I mean, obviously, the big deal is the winner. But the end of it and where people place in this tournament, at the end, now we officially have our team members for the Hanwha Lifeplus International Crown. At the end of the KPMG Women's PGA Championship. I think that's the name. They really need to do something about the name. I mean, it's absurd. But at the end of that major championship, the actual teams were solidified. The countries were solidified based on points that had been earned by all of the women at the end of that tournament. And then at the end of the AIG Women's Open is when then the 4 players under each country are finalized. So we have our final players and our final countries all determined at this point. And it's thrilling. So let me tell you a little bit about this. Basically, the way it works is that there are 8 different teams that compete. There are 7 countries and then 1 world team. So the top 7 countries with the highest combined Rolex rankings of their top 4 players, those are the countries that qualify. Then the selection of the players, like I said, so it's the top 4 Rolex ranked women within each country, then that was solidified at the end of the AIG Women's Open. Then there's so that's 7 countries, and then there's 1 world team. And so this is new, and this world team, what it is, it's composed of the top ranked player from each of 4 different regions around the world that aren't already represented by a qualified country. So the 4 regions are the Americas, and so that includes North and South America, Europe, Asia, and then the 4th region is Africa/Oceania. What's really interesting about this, and I think that this is fantastic that they're doing it this way, is, for example, Lydia Ko, who is a New Zealander, she has never been able to participate in one of these events because there aren't 3 other players from New Zealand who are highly enough ranked that the 4 of them have been able to get one of those top 7 or 8 country spots. So Lydia Ko, who I think is ranked still number 3 in the world, and she's never been able to participate in this tournament. And so with this world team now, it's really nice because you get some really fantastic players like Brooke Henderson. She's from Canada. I don't know how often Canada has had enough for women ranked highly enough to be able to get Canada to be one of the countries. And so you get some really, really good players in the world who aren't able to participate. The way they're doing it now, though, with the top 7 countries and then this 1 world team, we're getting a lot of these players who are very good, and they are part of now the world team. Let me tell you, like I said, I'm going to be going through this stuff a lot more later about, who all the players are, what's going on, how it all works. But I do want to just tell you, for the U.S., here confirmed are our 4 players that are going to be representing the U.S. and make up the U.S. team in the Hanwha Lifeplus International Crown. So Nelly Korda, Angel Yin, Lauren Coughlin, and Lilia Vu. I think this is going to be a wonderful team. I'm really, really excited. It's very interesting, with Lilia Vu there, she has not been playing very well this year. She, I believe, had a back injury maybe earlier in the year that she was recovering from, and she has missed the cut in a lot of big tournaments. But again, because this is based on the Rolex World rankings, and those do not change a whole lot or not very often. Like I said, Nelly Korda has been number 1 in the world for a very long time. And so Lilia Vu, I believe, is still ranked 19th in the world. She is. She's ranked 19th in the world with the Rolex rankings. So even though she hasn't done, as well this year, she's still ranked 19th in the world, and she is on the U.S. team. I cannot wait. Okay, so I wanted to tell you about that. So the U.S. team, and then let me tell you about the world team here, because this is fascinating. We have a little bit of scandal here, people. Lydia Ko, Charlie Hull, she's English, as you all know. Brooke Henderson is from Canada. And then Wei Ling Shi. And Wei Ling Shi was up there. She was doing really well at the AIG Women's Open. And I can't remember where she finished. And I don't know that much about her, except I had been obviously learning about her and seeing her there at the AIG Women's Open. So can't wait to learn more about Wei Ling Shi. And I apologize. The last time I had said her last name, I said Sue. Totally wrong. It's Shi. Wei Ling Shi. All right. That is the world team. Now here's some interesting stuff. And here's a little bit of scandal and some stuff to look forward to and to be on the lookout for. Charlie Hull. When this tournament was done 2 years ago, England had made, it was one of the countries who was participating, or that was participating. This year they are not. England has not had 4 players ranked highly enough to make up the points to be an individual country represented here. We have, and I apologize for not saying that before. So our countries are USA, Japan, of course, Korea, Australia, Thailand, Sweden, China, and then our world team. Okay, so 2 years ago, England was one of the teams represented. And both Charlie Hull and Georgia Hall were ranked highly and were 2 of the 4 players who were supposed to participate in this event. Well, pretty unexpectedly, they had withdrawn, both Charlie Hull and Georgia Hall had withdrawn last minute from participation in this tournament. And at the time, they had said they had both withdrawn from Team England due to health issues. Charlie Hull was experiencing stomach problems, and Georgia Hall had a foot injury. They were both replaced by 2 other English women. And those 2 women, I was watching a press conference. They were very funny. Let's see, Alice Hewson, looks like, and Liz Young, they were talking about how both of them had received like a text message like at 2 a.m., 4 a.m., and both were completely scrambling because basically they had to get next day flights and come in totally last minute, prepare, get ready, join the team. So they really were scrambling. So in this press conference, one of the English players who I've been seeing around and who was at this tournament too, Bronte Law, she at this press conference was not pulling many punches. So she had been saying, let's see, she said, she did not get any sort of message from the 2 that they had decided not to play. She was disappointed about that. But it's beside the point now. We're here, and this is our team, and this is Team England. Then, when asked when she had heard about Charlie and Georgia withdrawing from the event, Law said that she first learned about her teammates' decision on Sunday through whispers among her peers. And she said, quote, "I think anyone with some level of decency would send their teammates a message that they weren't coming," Law said. Not find out from other players on tour who have heard things from them saying things at the tournament last week. I don't think that that's a lot to ask for. And then she later was talking about how happy she was to have both Alice and Liz join them. And she said they're both very patriotic, very team-oriented. And I think that that's a testament to kind of what this tournament is about, and is more important than the individuals in the team. And if you watch the press conference, it's like I said, it's really, it's, man, you can tell, like, Bronte Law and then the other player, what's her name here? They are both just spicy. They are very mad. And I don't blame them one bit. Like, you're part of this team, this 4-member team representing your country, and you find out through little whispers through other people that 2 members have just decided not to participate. Like, give me a break. You can't even be professional enough to tell your teammates that you're not going to be there or decide a little bit earlier. I mean, how also disrespectful to the other women who had to come join. Like, that's great that they were able to do that. But like, one of them's talking about she's scrambling to find childcare, to deal with all this stuff. The other woman was talking about how she had all these delays at the airport. Like, I mean, think about like just the small amount of stress that I was under when my flight was canceled to get to the AIG Women's Open. Imagine being a participant in the tournament and doing all of this at the last minute and then having flight issues. Like, it's just so disrespectful to everyone involved. If you don't want to play, then don't play, but give people a heads up, give the replacements some time. I mean, it's like, what? I don't know. It feels very high school mean girl to me. Oh, really funny. So I think what's really fascinating about this, coming into the AIG Women's Open, that last spot there that Charlie Hull now has, that's the European spot. And she and Celine Boutier from France were the two that were really close, kind of neck and neck, getting that last spot. And I'm sure it was Charlie Hull's her performance in the AIG Women's Open that put her over the top with the points. Because I think going into it, into the tournament, I think Celine Boutier was higher ranked, I think. But now that Charlie Hull has this spot, let's all be on the lookout. Is she going to actually participate? Is she going to bow out? What's going to be the excuse if she bows out? Maybe she won't bow out. I don't know. We'll see. If she does bow out, maybe it'll be the last minute. Who knows? We'll be on the lookout. And now that you all know some of the back history about this, you all will be on the lookout too. And I can't wait to find out exactly what goes on this year. I'm so excited. But okay, I think that's about it for now. I know that I've covered the AIG Women's Open quite a lot. I hope you all enjoyed the walk and talks that you all were able to hear from Wales. And then just this little bit of final notes about the tournament, and then our look ahead to Hanwha. All right, I will talk to you all later. Until then, bye.